crime. She walked with a silence the streets couldn't break, a blade by her cheek to settle the stakes, an essence of strength carved deep in her soul. Life took its shots, but she never let go. She walked with a silence the streets couldn't break, a blade by her cheek to settle the stakes, an essence of strength carved deep in her soul. Life took its shots, but she never let go. She's an actress in the eyes, a spark in the smile, capturing moments, bending them to her style. Some saw petals fall where she once stood, now they walk in tears where roses once bloomed. An essence of strength, but the streets took their soul. A blade by the cheek just to stay in control. A child of the flame, born into the heat, running from fire with chaos at her feet. What's my name? She cried to the night. A soul in the shadows, still burning bright. She wore grace like a weapon, wild like the sea, a mystery wrapped in shattered poetry. Her dress, her smile, her storm, her truth. Who is she? You wish you knew. A total eclipse could never steal her light. She danced through the dark, vanished from sight. Many lived this life, but never made it home. She was more than a name etched in stone.
Welcome to 12 Gauge Investigative True Crime Channel. Here we speak on the education, the understanding of the crime, and deep diving into the mind of the afflicted. Justice for the victims by giving the silent a voice. Hope you enjoy.
In a world where shadows speak and silence kills, we chase the truth through blood-soaked hills. Crime scenes cold, but the trail stays hot. Every clue a whisper, every detail caught. Killers lurking, predators hide, but justice walks with us side by side. We don't flinch, we don't fold, we bring the dark stories that must be told. 12 gauge, a gas toy, built to last. Through the lies, the screams, the shattered glass. While cynics scoff and doubters run, we bring the dark stories that must be told. 12 gauge, icon built to last. Through the lies, the screams, the shattered glass. While cynics scoff and doubters run, we seek the truth till the work is done. We dig deep in the minds of the cruel, expose every motive, every tool. From courtroom drama to midnight trails, the guilty sweat when the facts unveil. 12 gauge, the line is drawn. For the victims lost and the voices gone. Crime killers, the scars they leave. We bring the truth, we don't deceive. Where justice is sought and silence is the enemy. This is 12 gauge Evdokin. Welcome to the hunt.
All right, all right, all right. How's everybody doing on this Friday night? My name is 12 Gauge, and welcome to my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. Hello, everybody in the chat. Hope everybody's having a wonderful night. You know, I just got back from some delicious strawberry cheesecake pancakes. You know, sometimes you just gotta treat yourself good. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta do the right thing for yourself. I thought I'd get on here, and as the title says, we're going to talk about Friday night truth or lies. And there's a lot of truth and there's a lot of lies that are going on in this true crime world. So I thought I'd get on here and say, let's play a game. Let's play a game. So, as most of you have already seen, there's a lot of crime scene photos that are being released in the IDAHO4 case. Whether you feel this is a good thing or whether you feel like it's not, I guess you can have your opinion. Um, can I say hello to everybody for the next 20, 25 minutes? Maybe if there's enough people that come in here, I can, I guess. Um, do you want me to use my raspy voice? Or do you want me to use the high pitched voice? I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about Fuego Diego? Is that who you're talking about? Fuego? Oh well, I don't want to talk about Fuego. He has enough problems of his own. He's trying to do better. Give Fuego a little, a little. I don't know what you would call it. A little grace, I guess. Fuego Diego. Yeah, that's what we'll call him. So, like I said, as far as this truth and lies, you know, I put out a video today on. I put out a video today on the crime scene photos. And I'm going to play it here in a minute and I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to play all those other ones that are coming out because, you know, once you've seen blood, you've seen a crime scene, you know, you understand what it's all about. 12 went on a show and was timed out in the first 5 minutes. And that blows, man. That blows. I guess there's a hit list because I don't even go to anybody's anymore. I really don't. It's not worth the hassle. And for all the nice people that supposedly are out there, I've yet to meet one. Even the women are pretty vicious. You know what I mean? The women are pretty vicious on these YouTube streets. I have my own theories, but you know what I mean. You have to believe in extraterrestrial time. Oh, gotcha. Here, I'm gonna play this, and I have some questions because I just have questions. And I don't want to listen to other people and their opinions. I want to listen to you guys because you're the ones that are in here with me tonight. I don't want to go listen to somebody else's show where they opine on certain things. Well, here we go.
First time photos from inside that off campus home where convicted killer Brian Koberger committed those grisly crimes. The nearly 200 images of the crime scene now.
Okay, first of all, this can go pretty slow. So, as we all know, these boots were made for walking. And as people who knew Maddie May discussed many a times, these were her favorite boots. They were made for walking, and Maddie was constantly seen in a lot of photos wearing these boots. So obviously, by process of elimination, I would say that this is Maddie's room. What do y'all say? Is this truth or is this a lie? Tell me what you think in the chat. Yes, and Xana loved her Converse. So is this Maddie's room? Is this truth or is this a lie? Let me see how many answers I can get. I got a truth already. Let's see how many more I can get. Do y'all believe that that is Maddie's room? Do you believe that those are Maddie's Doc Martens that you would see her in multiple photos wearing? Correct? Got two truths. Okay. Can we get any more? Any more truth? Let's see. Still holding on. I know there's a time lag. Let's see how many more people are going to put truth in here. Let me go on to the next one.
Scene now obtained.
Okay. How many of you? Why is this like showing up like this? How come it's not full screen? That's weird. How many of you? Okay. You know that's Maddie's room. You said truth. So how many of you knew that this beer pong table was this close to this table over here and it almost blocked the doorway here? How many of you knew that? How many of you knew that the killer would have had to maneuver through here in order to get through that little area? Is that truth or is that false? Let me know. Because I didn't know that it was that close. I thought that the beer pong table was on the over closer to the stairwell, closer to that window. I had no idea that it was positioned right there. So that makes a lot of sense that whenever you're heading downstairs to your roommate's room, you have to maneuver through a lot of obstacles to get there. So the fact that this is there would say that not only Dylan had to maneuver around it, but the killer did as well. So that makes a lot of sense that he just wouldn't be flying out that door because he was maneuvering himself through this little area. Is that truth or is that false? Hey, Kathy, how are you doing? Yes, it is a tight setup. And especially if you've been drinking, I mean, if you've been drinking and your mind and your equilibrium, everything's a little off, it would be a little tight through there, right? So tell me, would the killer have had a tough time getting through this little area? Are we saying truth? Are we saying false? Tell me what you think. I'll wait. And let's go on to the next one.
From the Moscow Police Department.
Okay. Let's wait a minute. There's a lag, so I got to wait quite a bit. Texas says running yes. Kathy says I'm thinking this area might be wider than we're seeing from this angle, 12 gauge. Okay. I've seen other pictures as well, and you're probably right. You're probably right. But I was just thinking that, as Dylan's going down those stairs, if that beer pong table is indeed right there, then she's trying not to hit it. She's trying to get downstairs. Tunnel vision. She probably did see Xana. I'm not doubting that she didn't. She said she did. Did she see the blood, though? Did she see anything that these crime scene photos obviously show? This, I would believe, is Kaylee Jade Gonsalves' room. Is this truth or is this false? Is this lie? Am I lying to you or is this truth? And how do you know this is Kaylee's room? Come on, type faster than that. I see what y'all got to say. Let's go on to the next one.
Through a public records request.
And I would say, just based on guessing, would this be Xana's room? Or is that a lie? That's a good answer, Texas. Because I thought that that was Kaylee's room. I really did. And I thought that that gray sweater was hers that she was wearing the night of the murders. That's her room, Kaylee. That's her sweatshirt she had on. That's what I was. That's what I was thinking as well. But like I said, I'm putting it to the test. I'm putting it in y'all's eyes, y'all's hands. What do you think, Kathy? Is that Kaylee's room? Kels? Is that Kaylee's room? Not this one that's up right now. We all know this is Xana's room because of the fuzzy chair. And it is also kind of blurred out because, as we heard in some of the paperwork, um, the killer supposedly sat in this chair right before he took off. Right before the 417, whimpering and thud. You know, there's a lot of people on these YouTube streets that believe that this crime scene was not as we're seeing it right now. They believe that this crime scene has been tainted by the police. They believe that the police went in there and put these things the way they are, and that's not really how it was when they took this picture. That they put these objects how they wanted them, and then they took the picture. Would you believe that that is true, or would you believe that's a lie? Yes, this is definitely Xana's room. Once again, I'm asking. Hey, Rondi, no one would ever plant crappy Coors Light. You're right. Or White Claws. Exactly. These are 100% photos taken by Officer Ryan Snyder. He took the 182 pics, first responder, and so in his report. Excuse me, wiping my nose on camera, but it's running. I don't want it all dripping on me. Um, I agree with that. I agree with that. First of all, how would they have time to go through the house and situate these things and then stop and take a picture? Does that sound logical to people? Because I've heard that in multitudes of channels that these aren't real. These are staged or these are planted, just like the knife sheath was planted. It wasn't real. The water launcher wasn't real. Um, we're gonna get there. So y'all all agree that this is Xana's room, right? Because of the fuzzy chair? Okay. When you show the kitchen pic, the time showed 12:35 p.m. shortly after the first responders, such as Snyder, arrived. We're not taking a test, Rondi. I just want to know what y'all's opinion is as far as it being true or a lie, what these pictures are portraying. As you can see right there, there's an ID, some kind of driver's license right here. And one of these pictures I'm going to show you, I saw something that was very intriguing to me.
By NBC News affiliate KT.
Here's another picture. Would you say that these are blood droplets? Is that true? Or is that a lie? I know what crowd I have in here, so I know what you guys are going to say, but I'm just putting this to the test because there's a lot of non believers when it comes to this case. They don't believe that this is actually blood. They believe that it's some kind of chemical that the investigators dropped while they were investigating the crime. If you've ever seen blood spatter, especially in a flat area like that, based on the videos that I've watched and that I've shown on my channel, the investigators that were describing this blood spatter says that this is usually from a droplet that is being the individual standing still. Because if you could tell, if there was a tail on this, one direction or the other, you could tell which direction the individual was going. So it doesn't look to, I mean, I can't zoom in on this, but it doesn't look like there's tails on these. Look that they're just right there, like droplets. So chances are these came from either the individual or these came from the weapon that was used to do these horrible crimes. Yeah, I heard that too, Rondi. That's what I was asking the chat.
TVB.
Okay. Would you believe that this was the morning after, or this is where the officers gathered everything and put it all right here for the whole world to see? Is this true or is this a lie? I think it came from the weapon. I believe that as well because you know what? If you're standing still and there's blood dripping from that weapon, it's just going to splash right there and coagulate. No, this is November 13th at 12:35. The range clock on blurred showed the time. Awesome. I wish I could zoom in. I'm glad that you know that. This is the morning after. Okay. So this, we all agree that this is a true photo, right? That this is not anything that police just gathered all this stuff, put it on the sink area, and took a picture. This is not a holiday photo where there's a professional photographer situating things the way they want it to be seen and taking photos. This is a crime scene. And if you've really seen crime scenes, which on this channel I've shown multitudes of them, you do have an understanding that it is what it is. It's not always going to be so substantiated that you're going to see everything turned over. There's not going to be blood everywhere. There's not going to be, flesh sticking to the wall. I mean, I'm not trying to be that morbid, but, I want you to understand that not every crime scene looks the same. That's a hologram on the dishwasher. A hologram of Brian. There were pics from the outside taken by media looking in. This is from the other side looking out. Okay. I appreciate you being in here, Kathy. because I'm going to ask a question here in a minute.
Any of the disturbing photos
And as you can see this photo, it looks like there's blood spatter on the wall. But if you look at this as well, I'm wearing my shades right now because my eye is hurting really bad. It looks like there was some kind of cut into the area of the spatter, like the individual missed and ran the weapon against the wall and maybe blurred, I mean, not blurred, but smeared this blood on the wall. Kind of like, in wailing fashion. Did y'all see my arms wailing there? Just like this. So I would say that this is, I believe, Xana's room, if I'm correct. Just
redacted or blurred
Yeah, this is Xana's room. So how do people really understand their understanding that there's there's not a lot of blood that went down this wall, so much that went out the back off the side of the house? How do they not understand that? How is that so hard? Is this true or this a lie that this is Xana's room? Is this true or is this a lie that that is possibly Ethan in that bed? It's sad to think about. It really is. It really is. Thank you for that, JB. Thank you for that. I mean to ask people to do that, and you did it without needing a prompt. Thank you for that. That is um, Kathy's page. Did Xana have a pink blanket too? I believe all of them could have had a pink blanket. I mean, they were females, right? The reason we know that this is Xana's room because of this drawing on this white sheet of blanket, and this was the bed that was in the corner. Do y'all believe that this is Maddie's room? Is that what y'all are thinking? I heard it referred to it being Maddie's room, but I don't believe it is. Y'all tell me, is it Xana's room? Is that true? Or is that false? Or is that a lie? Hey Kat, thank you for being here. Yeah, this is Xana's room. So we're in agreement with that. I think you're right, Kat. I think that's probably just blood all over here. The bodies were probably already taken out.
by authorities, but they shed light on the since demolished King Road house where Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were killed back in 2022.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Okay. Right there. Is that true that that man said he pleading guilty because he is guilty? Or is that a lie? Y'all help me out with that because I'm glad they showed that in there. Because so many people said that he did not say that he pled guilty to these crimes. True, 100%. Thank you for that. He said, "You're pleading guilty because you are guilty. Is that correct?" And he said, "Yes." It doesn't get much clearer than that. It does not get much clearer than that. People forget not only going to see blood, but body fluids will be on the mattresses. That's why it was called a change of plea hearing. Can you tell us a little more about that, Kathy? And I will put it up here because I know you're well versed in that. But yeah, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? And he said, yes. He did not say, well, I don't know. I could be guilty. I have been coerced to say that I'm guilty. No, he said, yes. Just like that. So the man is guilty by his own reconnaissance.
Last vestiges of
Okay, this room right here I have questions about, and I need your help. Let me put this up here. It says on May 16, 2023, the Latah County Grand Jury returned an indictment, time 5 first-degree felonies. And Kathy's going to be putting that in the chat. And as she does, I want to ask this question to you guys. I Googled this because I didn't know the answer, and I still didn't get clarity. Google told me that this could have been Maddie or Kaylee's room because of the butterflies. But it doesn't look like the photo that we saw from the outside with the bed barely being turned down, kind of like what we saw with the gray sweater. So whose room might this have been? Would this have been Bethany's or would this have been Dylan's room? Hitler even asked Brian if anyone coerced him into taking a plea today, to which he responded no. There was a hearing in front of Judge John Judge when he stood silent, so Judge entered not guilty for him. That's right. Thinking it's Bethany's room. You're saying Dylan. Kathy says, no, this is DM's room. It was described as having her drawings of hairstyles and eyebrows and eyes. Okay. I couldn't figure it out. I could not figure it out. Yes, she is. That's why July 2nd we changed the plea. One thing that I want you to know in this room, there's a bag with a receipt on it by the bottom of her bed. I noticed that, and I'm wearing these shades. I can't really see it through the shades. I mean, it's there. But I noticed that this morning, and they all have the same kind of little end table like that. She had the same one Maddie did, I think. And here's the Trulies that she stated that she drank. Remember in her disposition, she stated, I drank 3 Trulies, and there they are. But also, if I believe that this is Dylan's room. But it's interesting, if this is from the doorway, then she would be almost right under where the murder took place, would she not? Plus, the layout of the room makes sense to be DM. Yeah, I was stuck on that because Google said it might have been Maddie's or Kaylee's because their rooms were in butterfly decor, so I wasn't certain. That's why I wanted um, the window would be over here. Let me see if you can see my pointer. It would be off to the right because here's a little bit of a plant, and supposedly she had all those plants in the window. So this would be the back of the house right here. As you're entering, there's a closet right here, and then there's a big area over here. So her bed is against that far wall. The window is over here against the. Now I'm all confused, but yeah.
a typical college home, an open front entrance with a wreath hanging on the door, a living room with
And people have made judgment about how these college kids lived, calling them slobs, calling them untidy, all this other stuff. Like somebody said in the chat earlier, they had a party the night before. So I'm pretty sure they didn't take the time to actually clean because didn't they go to a football game the next day? So if they slept in, chances are you get up, you get dressed, you get ready, you go to the game, you're not thinking about housekeeping. Right. I bet these were going to clean Sunday before I'm going back to class Monday. I'm thinking they would have cleaned up on Sunday. You are both correct, I believe. And let me tell you this too, because there was supposedly a cleanup, right? Everyone was all about the cleanup. Remember that early on? So if there was a cleanup, they cleaned where? Where did they clean? Where did they clean around this? Tell me that. Hey, Nina. Nina, you want to come up? I'll give you the link. You haven't been up in a while. No, there wasn't a cleanup. There's the link if any of y'all want to come up to discuss this with me. That may have been referent to the Leighton Vans print by the kitchen. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But I believe that they were saying that there was a cleanup all through the house, like in the living room, in that little area by the, where the step is, all that stuff. Where would they have cleaned it up and just put all this dirty cups and empty beer boxes and all this stuff back down on the floor? Sorry, back from getting snacks. You're okay. So I don't believe that there was a cleanup. This really debunks the cleanup theory. And I know that many people think that there was a cleanup in the kitchen, that the latent print showed that there was a cleanup, but we don't know what else they found in that area. If there was any more prints that they could have found. Because to be fair, if that was Brian's latent shoe print, they would have made a bigger deal, in my opinion, of that latent shoe print being his. But that's just the way I'm thinking right now. I could be wrong. Hey Nina, I got to put a little slot up here for you. Hold on a second. I thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you all for being adults while we're discussing this, because it's not easy to talk about. It's not like it's a 40-year-old crime scene, you know? Okay, Nina, how you doing? Are you muted?
Hey, no, I'm not muted, but you're still talking, so I'm gonna go out and come back in.
No, you're here. You're good.
I know,
You're good. You're on panel.
yeah, it's like the chat's like 10 seconds behind us and it's all echoing, so I'm gonna try it again.
Okay. Cal says they were drinking beer in coolers, not much of a party house, no liquor bottles. Yeah. That's all we've heard, right? That's all we've heard. It's a it's a party house. It's a drug house. Good point. Only saw beer and light drinks. Seems like this is what females would drink, right? I know some females that drink that hard liquor stuff, but most women, they like the Truly, they like the White Claws, they like those Butteritas, whatever they're called. And in one of the documents, I think it said that there was some blue powder in the spare bedroom with a rolled up $2 bill or something. To be fair, we know that we know that young people experiment with drugs. We know that people use drugs recreationally. We know that people use drugs to drink more, to be able to stay up longer, to party more. What's the big deal about that? They didn't get caught doing it, right? Where's all the weed and prescription drugs? Right. I mean, because I'm not trying to minimize any of this stuff. I'm not trying to minimize any of this stuff. But to be fair to these individuals who lived in this home, if any of us had a camera crew walking through our home after something happened and people were clicking photos, they would be clicking photos of the trash can, they would be clicking photos of our restroom, all over. And many people would have their opinion of what went down in that house. I just don't believe that it's fair to have such a negative connotation about a home where people were killed and other people could have been killed. Do you get what I'm saying? At the end of everything, there were victims left alive, and there were four that lost their lives. So to sit there and try to unravel this crime scene and look for clues, as in, let's see what we can see between the beer box. Do you see any cocaine there? Do you see any rolled up? Do you see any pipes? What is that? Is that a straw? You see any tinfoil and a lighter? Was somebody doing something right there? I see that straw. It could be drug paraphernalia. Come on. It looks like people were sitting around, drinking, having a good time, watching the beer pong game going on. And somebody said this was a backpack. Maybe that's where all the drugs were when they ran out. You know what I mean? No burnt up spoons, etc. Now all the burnt up spoons were in the kitchen. Most pro-burgers, in my opinion, are druggies or alcoholics, so can even believe their crap. Well, that's a true statement. That's a true statement. Mentally unstable is the word of the hour. So let's keep going.
The backpack and red plastic cups scattered on the floor. Photos of staircases.
And see, you see beer cans, empty beer cans, a cup right there. You know, as you're walking up the stairs, you're lazy. You just put the cup right there and say, well, I'll be back for it. I'll be back for it. And no telling who put that there. You know, it makes a lot of sense that you could have possibly found blood smeared on this railing. You just never know how somebody could have cut themselves. It's a miracle that they found the DNA that they found at this house based on all the people that were there the night before. You know what I mean? What do you think, Nina? Did you make it back in? Think you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, boy, that took forever.
You had to pay the fee, right?
I know, man. You upped it too. $50 just to come on panel.
So what do you think about this being a drug house based on the photo that you've seen? I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful by showing this or even having a live on it, but more just trying to explain to people that this wasn't as nefarious as people have made it to be.
What? I don't know. They had 8 hours to clean up all those drugs now, Gage. Let's just be real.
But they said they cleaned up the crime scene.
No, it ain't a
They
drug house,
said they
not at
cleaned
all.
up the crime scene. They would have been, I mean, looking at that photo before here, that crime scene would have been like, you would have seen mops smeared in between those cans and boxes and all that, right? What do you think? You and I did a live on crime scene cleanup.
See, I've got such a problem with these pictures. There's so many questions now.
Or what? You kind of cut out, Nina. What'd you say?
Yeah, man, tonight is not the night for it to be acting up on me, and it is really acting up.
It's a full moon tomorrow, I think. And there she's gone. Hey, Dolphin.
A bedroom and bathroom.
Okay, as you know, the way that they're looking right here, this looks like the staircase. Wait, hold on. Let me. Yes, this is a mirror outside of Maddie's room. I never had any inkling that there was a mirror here. Here's the bathroom. And as you see this individual right here, it's not a Sasquatch. It is an officer. Um, this is the railing or the little area above the staircase. So this is the other side where he's going is Kaylee's room. I know it's kind of confusing, but that's what you're seeing there. Is that truth or is that a lie? Y'all give me your answer. Is that truth or is that a lie, what I just said? Because we're playing truth or lie tonight. We're kind of, I'm giving you the scenario and you're answering whether you believe what I'm saying is true or whether I'm lying to you. Okay. Yeah. Because we all know that as you walk out this I've been through this hallway multitudes of times on my lives, and there's a big window right here where they never had the blinds up. And as you walk through this area, there's the bathroom, and then this right here is Maddie's room. I always had it confused. I always thought that this was Kaylee's room at the very beginning of doing this whole thing. But as I did the walking through the house, you can figure it out that that is indeed Maddie's room. Yes, that is a first responder. That is not Sasquatch. That is not Bigfoot. Has any of y'all ever seen that metal Bigfoot that sometimes people have in their backyards and stuff? And he's like walking like he looks just like that silhouette. There's a great space saving way to place a sink. That is a nice looking bathroom. I mean, and I think there's a window right here as well because this is the front of the house. That's what's so weird about this. You would think that this would be the back of the house, but there's actually three windows. There's this one, there's the middle one, and then there's God, now I'm all confused. I think there's this one and then there's the middle one, and that's it. There's not one on Kaylee's. Yes, there is one on Kaylee's. Yes, there is. I gotta look at the freaking photos again in order to figure it out. So tell me, is there a window outside Kaylee's room at the front of the house? I can't remember now. Oh, here we go. 3 windows on the 3rd floor. That's what I thought. I mean, you gotta do this all the freaking time to keep up with it. I have so much on my mind right now. I clicked on Nina's stream 100%. Yes. So there's 3 windows and they're at the front of the house. So that is the front of the house. There's the bathroom window that had that.
Okay, I'm trying, but you're still talking.
Okay. What are you going to say?
I don't know what's wrong with it.
Are you hearing an echo or what?
It's like your sentences are like 10 seconds behind. So when you're not talking, you're talking.
That's weird. Do you have your YouTube on? Your
I
browser?
have it on another. Do I turn it off on that? But I mean, I don't have the sound on. Yeah, let me go out of it.
Because you're in StreamYard or you on YouTube?
I'm
Turn
in
your YouTube
StreamYard. I
off.
use the link, right?
Yeah, echo cancellation. Go to settings and go to the mic, and there's an echo cancellation. So now
Okay.
that we've looked at this,
where an investigator's reflection is seen in the mirror. But the images also show
like we said earlier, there's more blood spatter. Do you agree that this is blood spatter on the floor, or do you believe that those are chocolate chip cookies? Sprinkles of chocolate chips. What's a little confusing, it looks like the MPD cop is in the room next to the bathroom. Yeah, he's not. That's a mirror. It is a mirror. It tripped me out. That's a weird shot. I don't know if they were trying to like trick people, but that is a weird shot. I thought this was another room until I looked. I was like, no, that's a mirror. Because that's the bathroom. That has to be a mirror. And this is Maddie's room. Because if you can see, there's the staircase. He's on the side of Kaylee's door right there. And that's the staircase right there where he's at. It's a tripped out illusion for sure. And for non-believers, I hate that they even showed this picture because they're going to be putting an extra bedroom in the top floor. You know what I mean? I still wonder why he let Murphy out to roam, took chance there. Don't you know that wasn't Murphy that you heard? It was a duplicate dog. He left dog sounds playing as he left the room with the grenade blast as he walked out. Okay, who is this?
It's me. What happened to my picture?
Okay. Is that better?
But hey, the echo's gone. I don't care about the picture. The echo's gone.
All right, cool. We'll go with that.
That was weird.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's clearly a white frame around that mirror. I know there is. I'm just being facetious. Makes sense
So
with the
did
mirror with
everybody guess chocolate chips?
Yeah, those were chocolate chip droppings on the floor. No, those are death blood, and that's caused by somebody standing still and the blood dropping from their wound and landing on the floor. Had there been
Yep.
tracers, it would have shown you that the individual or the person that was injured, what direction the cast off was going, and it would have shown you exactly what area where these droplets were going. Like if it was going straight ahead, the cast off would have been to the back. If it was going out the door, it would have been toward the other side, on the other side of the blood drops. But since they're flat, at the video presented that I did a long time ago, this showed that it's almost like somebody just stood there with a dropper and just squeezed it, and a drop of blood hit the floor.
I don't know. It's all crazy tonight.
I see you. Did you see the picture of Murphy under the desk? I did
Oh
not.
my gosh, that was heart-wrenching.
The images also show signs of the attack, including blood spots on a hardwood floor. And this is the glass door the police believe Koberger opened to enter that home.
The person that slithered.
And there was the piece of shit that did it all.
Yeah, buddy.
Let me put you up here on panel. I don't have any more pictures. I mean, I got that earlier, and I know that there's a lot of people that have a lot of the newer pictures. I'm not going to show all that. I don't think there's any reason for all that. We all have seen crime scenes. You know what I mean? And if you haven't,
I have to admit that this one was a whole lot less than I thought it was going to be.
only because she said that there was more blood than anybody's ever seen,
Hello.
and that could have been on the mattress all around
Hello.
Xana.
Are
Can
we
you hear me?
froze?
I'm not
Hello.
froze. I think you're froze.
What the hell?
Can you hear me? I believe a lot of that blood went into the mattresses, like I said, and Ethan was against that wall, kind of. So his wound would have went down that back wall, out the back of the house. I mean, it was that substantial that it bled down the house. I mean, that tells you that there's a lot of blood right there. You know? Can you hear me?
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and we didn't even
All right.
see
Is that
under
better?
Xana. We didn't even see under Xana. We don't know if there was. I mean, if she really bled out from her wounds, if her wounds were, you know, on her hands or on her arms or wherever, there could have been a whole puddle of blood. If I don't want to see all that.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think what was seen explains enough, but then it also led to so many questions.
Cat says the pic with the brown bag next to the core shows a lot of blood. Xana's blood.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at one particular point, you got to have some sense of decency that you don't have to see everything. You know what I mean? I've been curious about all this as well, just like everybody else. But for the sense of decency, do you really have to be showing every little aspect of this murder just because it's being released?
Well,
Next,
it's sort of like, there's a difference in, I guess a respectful nude picture and a non-respectful nude picture. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's tasteful ways and there's non-tasteful ways.
well, there's people that believe that they deserve to see and hear every little aspect of it. I mean,
We don't deserve to see anything.
no, they believe that they need to know every little aspect of this crime. Well, if they could read, wouldn't they have already known what happened? They wouldn't need to see the pictures. These are the kind of creators that need pictures in their book. They don't ever read the read the book.
Yeah,
They just look for the pictures. They just look
they
for
don't
the
need the
pic.
words, they need the pics.
Right. I need
Yeah,
a picture book. You need to show me the picture book.
yeah, picture book, please.
Yeah. Well, I get that, Firefly. I get that. I'm curious too.
So can you
I'm
okay.
just saying that for me, this was enough for me. I don't need to see anymore. But that's for me. I mean, however you feel about you, that's you. I'm just saying for me, this is all I needed to see because I've always believed that this is how it went down. You know what I mean? And especially once we got the documents and and we were reading them and we were understanding, well, this is just step by step. Well, that was enough for me. You know what I mean? It was bad enough reading it, but I don't hate on anybody that is curious. I really don't. I think people can view privately on a live stream up to creator to show what they feel is tasteful. Right. Bob Costas ain't doing play by play. Some people can't process anything. I mean, I'm not talking about anybody in chat or anybody in general, but some people you do understand that they've read the documents, but they don't believe what the documents say until they see pictures to assimilate in their brain this plus this equals, well, it could have been a crime. Well, it could have been, you know, they're making it sound like some of them are making it sound like the Danny Rowling case, where he would stage the bodies, where I don't believe that any of this was staged. And it's all about the context behind it too. It doesn't bother you to see what happened that night. I can't protect. Right. I mean, I don't know. I've put in my mind a long time ago. If you watched any of my lives from way back when, I put in my mind a long time ago what happened. Because in my mind, I put all this stuff together, and it kind of was pretty much on point. I've talked about it. I'm not saying that I solved anything or whatever. I'm just saying for me, I was able to articulate in my brain. He walked in, went up to the third floor. I can imagine that a fight went on. I didn't see a whole room painted in red. I didn't in my thought process. I saw a bloody bed because I've seen multitudes of crime scenes where people have been bludgeoned, where people have been hurt, cut, shot, all this stuff. The Richard Ramirez case, watching that documentary, they showed the people on the bed after they had been, cut, shot, and there was not a lot of blood per se as you would imagine. It's not a horror movie, you know what I mean? Um that's fine, Nina. That's fine. You can please stay in chat though. It was horrible in Delphi. No matter which side you were on, there were kids. Right. Thank you so much. I've seen enough, honestly. A key for me was to confirm it was the officer Snyder pick. They are. They can be cross referenced to his report. That's true. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. I mean, I'm not trying to make you believe what you want to believe. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that for me, that's where I'm at with it. When I was reading about the Simpson case, I was surprised at the photos that were available, the same with other cases. Yeah, when you do, I think people think the case and all the blood. Yeah. I mean, when you do crime scenes, it's almost interesting to see, like, wow, there's a lot of blood and it's all in one place. And one of the biggest cases, like I said, the Richard Ramirez Night Stalker documentary on Netflix, man, if you watch that, you're gonna see some crime photos. You're actually seeing the victims laying there on the floor bludgeoned or bloody or, whatever. And a lot of them are not, the walls are not sprayed in blood. And for individuals that don't understand that, I've said that countless times, but think about this. The only way that there's going to be spatter on the wall, your heart has to be beating and the knife has to hit an area of, I would say, an artery, a vein, where it's shooting blood every time the heart pumps. But what I've read is most of these people were stabbed pretty harshly and were killed fairly quickly. So I don't believe that there would have been a lot of spatter. Yeah, please do. We had JB drop it. Um, please drop it. Yes, that's perfectly fine. Um, so to articulate and say that there has to be a lot of blood, there really doesn't. And if you're killed in on a mattress, it's gonna, like we've said before, the blood is gonna go internally and fill up around the organs. And if there's no exit wound, then that's where it's gonna lay. That's where it's gonna stay. If there's an exit wound, of course it's gonna go out, but still it's gonna bruise until the body dies and start to decompose. Sometimes there's a lot of blood and sometimes there's not. Depends on what's it. Exactly. Got to remember that 2 died from strangulation. So they were, seems like they will show more and more. Yeah. With 50 stab wounds, there would be a lot of cast off, dead or not, in my opinion. But we don't know. I see how you would see that. I do. And just for the sake of having conversation, Firefly, we don't know if he was having the long drawn out, because as you're pulling the knife out, I don't know if you're meaning on Kaylee or if you're meaning on Dana. If he's slashing, there might not be. If he's stabbing and then turning and pulling out, there could be. But we haven't seen all the pictures though. A lot of defensive wounds. So yes, please go sub to her if you haven't already. I just know that I've seen a lot of. There was a time on my channel where I was obsessed with this. I've even shown, individuals stabbing gelatin forms with blood inside of them to show the stabbing motions. And most of the blood, being that close, was cast off to the person. There was a little bit around him. There wasn't a lot all over the place. But he wasn't in an enclosed room like they were either. So it's interesting to know that. It really is. It depends on what was hit. Arteries or not, and positioning of the body. They were laying down, and what went in came right back down and landed on the mattress. You know, and that is interesting to know as well, because I know it's easy to believe that as we're stabbing in, we're pulling out, that there's going to be a big old gush of blood. Not all the time, because there's videos on my page. Go in the library and watch the one called the stab wounds or the wounds. That shows a lot of it. And there's another video where a Navy SEAL is stabbing a gelatin form, and the gelatin form has blood inside of it, and he's stabbing it, and it's going all over him because he's so close to the object. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I would believe that the closer that you are, and especially if you're laying down, gravity would not let the blood. I like your thought process, though. I really do. Thank you for your comment. I do wonder about Xana. She was on the floor, right? And we really don't know. We really don't know about whether she had taken most of the defensive wounds standing up, or if she took most of them, like if she fell to the floor and was doing this kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying? Um, I would believe that she's standing up. A lot of people don't believe that the noises that you heard, the sound of whimpering, and then the thud, could have been Dana hitting the floor. There's a lot of people that I've watched that don't believe that that was Dana hitting the floor. Is that a lie or is that the truth? Did Dana really hit the floor? Do you believe that? Or is that a lie? Tell me what you think. Because I've heard people describe somebody losing consciousness and them hitting the floor with that much dead weight. It makes a sound like a sack of boulders hitting the floor. Didn't Dana have a rug around her? Perhaps it was the case her blood could have been absorbed by it. Yes, she did. She had a black rug. It certainly could have been. I just don't understand, and I'm not trying to convince anybody because we all think differently, right? We all think differently. But my thought process for myself, I can only own my own thoughts, okay? I can't even own my subs' thoughts because they're free to own their own thoughts. But what I'm saying is, for me, what would be the reason for this to be such a conspiracy? What would be such a reason? It doesn't, for the university to stay running. As we heard, their attendance was up after the murders. If it really would have hurt them, their attendance would have been down. And people have said, well, Scott Green wrote a book. He didn't write a book. If you really put that into context, he wrote a book about the university and the protocols and things of that type of business. He included the IDAHO4 as a tribute to their being part of the university. Many times, it's not how you say something, it's the context you say it in. He didn't write a book. He didn't write a book like Howard Blum. He didn't write a book. He didn't make a movie. He didn't make any of that. And do you really feel that the university would have needed a murder so badly to help its existence in this town? Do you really believe that they would have needed to cover this up so badly? How many other murders happen? You think um, the University of where was it? University of Georgia, right? The Athens chapter, or whatever, where Laken Riley was killed. Do you think that they tried to cover that up so people would go there? Do you think that there's a lot of people killed on campus? There's a show called Death in the Dorms. You need to watch that because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are killed on campus. These universities don't cover anything up because they're scared people are not going to go there. Do you think the guy that was shooting from the tower at the University of Texas and killed all those people, do you think UT tried to cover that up because they were worried about students coming to their campus? Does that really make sense to you? Yeah, but the people are trying to say that the money wouldn't have been there. They covered it up so they wouldn't lose money, Nina. That's what I'm saying. They're saying that they were trying to cover it up so they wouldn't lose money. Of course, they made more money after the fact, but you're going to kill 4 people to make money and blame it on somebody to go to your college? For me, that doesn't add up. For me, the double perpetrator kind of was a thing at the very beginning. I did believe there were 2 teams, because I got it confused as far as the parallel crime. You know, I thought one set of people got hit, and then the other set got hit by 2 different teams because of all the stuff that was coming out. But then I had to really think about how silly that sounded. I didn't ever go with the cartel part. That's not exactly true. Universities do cover up crime. They couldn't cover up this big, but they downplay rapes, ODs. Yeah, that's true. They do. I mean, I'm just saying that what would be the reasoning behind trying to cover this up? I know they cover up for their athletes all the time. They make their athletes not accountable for all the wild things that they do. You know, you're right. I did start off with that theory, Dolphins. I did at the very beginning, and I had to tell myself, look, you need to get on board with your own thought. Quit listening to people. And I've always thought it was a K-bar. I've always thought it was a K-bar. At best, I thought maybe a machete, but nothing more, nothing less. And let me ask you guys a question. Do you believe that Dylan saw a gun, or do you think it was a crossbow? A hand crossbow with the trigger? What do you think she saw that Brian had? Do you think it was a gun? I was in the conspiracy theorists at the very beginning. I really was. I watched a lot of them. This was before I had a channel, though. This was before I had a channel. I was all over the place with this case. But I had to pull myself out of the mud and get on solid ground. I've given that a lot of thought, 12 gauge. Any thought to that, Kathy? Because I was thinking about that today. I had a lot of time to think today because I did a 3-hour round trip, and I was thinking about that. It's like, and what do you think the flash, or what do you think that thing, the light and the bang was? Any thoughts? I think he had a front pack, like a backpack to carry items. Okay. She called it a container as well. It might have been to store the knife to stop the sort of drops we've seen. Okay. This case was so big with so many different agencies involved that it would have been impossible to cover up. You're right. The knife. I've watched a lot of people. I like healthy debate. When it gets personal and vindictive, it's no longer healthy. You're right. I think Dylan saw the knife rolled up in his jumpsuit. I think he just sat down in Xana's room and removed the top layer. And I think he didn't kill Dylan because he was already clean on his way out. That's a good thought pattern right there. I think he had a stun gun. Someone in the recent interview said whatever BK was holding, he was using two hands to carry a canister type object. So, as he's leaving the house, you're telling me he lets off a grenade, a flash grenade as he's leaving? To what? Conceal himself as he's stripping down? What? Tell me. Stun gun. All I can say is Operation Turtle Shell. I saw that on somebody else's feed today. I don't even know what that is about, but okay, I saw that. Do you think that he let off a flash bang or whatever those things are called? What could possibly have made that sound? And the light, what could that have been? Bethany told two different LEs on November 13th, 17th about those fireworks. So I do believe her. So do you think they were letting off fireworks outside? I would think so. But how would Bethany see the flash under her door given the position of her room under the stairwell? Good point. She had a toothache. She had a toothache. Here's another thing for you guys. How about the voices that supposedly people are hearing at the 1112 cameras picking up Brian's Elantra going around and around and around? I'm glad that they did show the DoorDash driver, and I'm glad they showed her walking around lost looking for 1122. I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they did that. But the voices, there's there's people walking around, going back to their dorms, going back to their homes. Those houses are close together. If that light camera caught that sound 50 yards away, you don't think it would have caught voices to one side, voices to another? You don't believe that? The toothache seemed like an added part of the story, not nefarious, but filling in a blank. I don't know why a dentist's daughter would need a call to ask what to do for a toothache. Speaking of the DD driver, who's the woman who's kept ducking when she looked up at the third floor window? I thought she was walking between 1122 and Queen Apartment. Yeah. She had her phone and flashlight and everything. She also took photos during those calls with her dad and her mom. It just doesn't sound like these girls are very self-sufficient. The DD driver seemed to be confused at best. Couldn't even find the house. She's walking with her dog, right? Also, don't see a dentist's daughter ever having a toothache. Her teeth are usually immaculate. Well, we need to take it for what it is. I mean, it does seem out of the ordinary, but that's supposedly what she said. It does seem a little sketchy, but you know, we never know. I just believe that these two young girls, I'm going to call them young girls because they're younger than me, way younger. And I believe that they just weren't very bright, either because they've been sheltered, because they hadn't had to face a lot of obstacles, or maybe they just weren't good thinkers, you know? Because anybody that's self sufficient knows exactly what to do. They don't have to call their parents. And these two obviously called their parents and leaned on their parents a lot more than most people that age do. Perhaps a little naive. Even JD told Payne he left too many people had code to the door or in and out. Yeah. I mean, you trust too many people. That could have been a good thought right there. It makes me want to know what's on her phone. I want to see those photos. I would know what the conversations were with her parents. She called her mom too, and that's not a dentist. They're divorced. Most dentists' offices are closed on Sunday. Why not call her dad for an opinion? I grew up with dentist kids, and their teeth are still immaculate. I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. It really is. I mean, the roommates still have me rolling your eyes, no disrespect, and doesn't change the commission of the crime. Just not clear on what was going on that morning. Well, that's understandable. You can be negligent without being culpable of a crime. Does that make sense? To be negligent without intentionally being negligent, there's a difference in that and intentionally doing something that you know is wrong. If you're trying to hide a crime and you know that's wrong, then that's prosecutable. But if you're just naive and you're not very bright when it comes to life and life's issues, you can't prosecute somebody because they didn't do the right thing, you know? And we are curious of a lot. And maybe there are a lot of little bitty things that they did that would just add to the questions, to add to the misunderstanding of what was going on. Because to me, it sounds like they didn't know, either one of them knew exactly, were coherent enough to understand what was taking place. And I wouldn't say this, but as you know, I just got off vacation with four young adults. The oldest one being 19, the youngest one being 16. I know they're not the same as these, but I can tell you, if you don't direct them into step by step and still check up after them, after you give them the directive, you're in for a mess. Because you tell them to unload the luggage, they're going to unload the luggage right there and leave it and walk upstairs with their own luggage. They don't have They don't have that thought process. Okay, he said unload the luggage. They don't have the thought process to say, well, I'm going to grab his luggage as I'm taking mine and put it in one of those carrier things and take it up there with mine. No, it isn't until you ask, hey, what about my luggage? Oh, okay, let me grab your luggage too. So I get that whole step by step thing. I really do. Or you're constantly questioning them. Did you do this? Did you finish that? Did you, you know, don't throw your towels all over the floor. Don't use my towel. You know, pick up your, I mean, based on these rooms, the way they look, that's how the hotel rooms looked. In a week's time, there was so many times I almost fell over some shoes in the middle of the night trying to get to the bathroom. It was like walking through landmines. I mean, it's just terrible. And, it just, if they're anything like that, then you understand, you understand that not only do you have to guide them, because think about this. In school, they're always being told, don't be talking, don't talk. Anywhere they go, don't talk in the hall, don't talk in the cafeteria, stay silent, stay off your phone, do this, do that. It's like they're good little soldiers. And, you know, we're raising individuals that when things happen, instead of reacting and doing the next right thing, they freeze. And I believe that that's why a lot of times people are taken off guard so easily because they're not thinking that something bad could possibly be happening. No, this is a nice person. He's a nice person. You tell me, anybody in the chat that's old enough to be born in the late 80s or 90s or even 70s, you tell me you see a man walking through your home dressed all in black and you hear all these noises. Most of us would have left our room and investigated what was going on. Most of us would have. Because for one, those noises are normal. Or if they are, we still don't feel right about it. I can't speak for a female because I've never been one. Obviously, there's a lot of male creators that know what a young female feels like, thinks like, and acts like, but I'm not one of them. I can tell you that a 19, 20-year-old male is not going to stay in his room and listen to what's going on. They're going to go out and investigate. And I know some females that would as well. There's some of you in this chat that at that age you would have been brave enough to go out there and investigate, especially if you thought your friends were being hurt. You get what I'm saying? So that's our generation. We assume that everybody in this day and age is just like our generation. That's why there's so much outrage at the 8 hour gap. But if you think logically on the 8 hour gap in 2025 or 2024, 2023, 2022, you understand you're not dealing with the same mindset as what you had 20, 30 years ago. Total different mindset. Their mindset is not about helping others first. It's about helping themselves first, making themselves safe. Because they've been told They've been conditioned to react a certain way. An active shooter comes in the school, they have code words. They have little areas where everybody goes to hide. Most of us didn't live in a generation like that. The most we did was, we were worried about a tornado. Put your head between your legs under your desk or whatever. I thought it was funny because as we got older, it's like put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye because nothing you do is going to help you. You get what I'm saying? So um, it's very interesting the way we have our opinions about this case, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I enjoy speaking about it, and I enjoy that we can have these conversations without arguing or getting angry, without raising our voices. Yeah, they stay quiet. They wait for help. You know, just a different generation. Different generation. I don't I don't really, you know, reading all those documents about the 911 call and the text messages between Dylan and Bethany and all that stuff that was going on. I believe that that was what it was. I believe that there was probably, you know, some things that were redacted, but just like everything else, people try to protect other people because for whatever reason in this generation, people believe that there's certain people that aren't strong enough to hear the truth, to be able to handle the truth. And one thing you got to ask yourself is those people that are asking for this truth, they can't handle it either. Because if they could, all these documents and all these photos and all these videos and all this other stuff would be enough to convince you of what went on in that house on November 13th, 2022. Brian Christopher Koberger did kill those 4 people. He did commit burglary by committing felonies as he was entering the residence in a premeditated state. Whether you believe that or whether you don't, it's your cross to bear. But you have to also understand that this isn't the only case that we're going to be talking about where it's going to be this horrific. You want to hear gore? Go listen to the New Evil podcast that I've been putting out. You want to hear about blood? You want to hear about real serial killers? Go listen to that. Go listen to the Israel Keys podcast that I put out. Koberger's an amateur compared to those people. And that's why he really doesn't impress me compared to those other people that I've seen. Richard Ramirez, some of the grim, not the Grim Reaper, it's the Grim Sleeper. Some of these other guys, Koberger was nothing but an amateur compared to them. And I know it's not a competition, but you put all your stock into this dude thinking he's the most horrific. If you can't handle his stuff, how are you supposed to handle anything coming down the pipe? Because they're getting worse and worse and worse. You get what I'm saying? I get that. I get that, Kathy. I get that. I didn't agree with the gag order. I didn't agree with that whatsoever. I believe that gag order just did worse than it helped. I mean, I could understand in the beginning how, quote unquote, they were trying to protect this and they wanted a fair jury and all this, that, and the other. But after a point, it was overkill. It's overkill. So I hope that y'all do give some insight into the podcast that I've been doing. I hope that you do continue to show up when I do present other cases, because there's a lot more interesting out there than this case. And I agree that the gag order made more rumors. I agree with that. I never agreed with the gag order. If you go back and watch my videos, I constantly said the gag order needs to be lifted. Especially during the Diddy case. They got a jury for Diddy. They got a jury for Karen Reed. They got a jury for all these other people. But you're telling me you can't get a jury for Bri? Come on. Yeah, I agree with you, Kel. There are some great minds in this chat. The kind of chat I like. I hope that more of you that are watching do get comfortable enough to come into the chat and have a chat with us. Whether you believe that we're trying to convince you that your thoughts are not relevant or that you're wrong or this or that, that's not what this chat's about. We merely discuss the facts as we see them. Because unless we're working the case on the ground with the police departments and the investigative teams, there's a wall there that all of us hit that we can only get so far. And I hope y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, Kathy, for being here. If you haven't subbed to Kathy's Indie Zone, please do so. She does have an awesome chat, an awesome page. You're more than welcome to continue coming over here, Kathy. Hopefully, maybe one night you can be on panel. I'd like to pick your brain. So the rest of you, I hope that you enjoyed that. And if any of the family members do end up watching this, I want you to know that I didn't show these photos out of disrespect for the deceased, but other than show the truth of the nature of the crime, rather than what's being put out there as nothing more than just theatrical value. So I hope that you guys have an awesome night. And as I always say, Maestro, cue that music.
Ready, set, go!
Engage Investigative, the best true crime channel out there.
I'm a true crime channel.
12 Gauge Investigators is the best. 12 Gauge Investigators the best.
12 Gauge Investigators, he's the best.
Prince George's County 911 Center. What is the location of the emergency?
Across 4709 40th Avenue.
You say 40?
Fire, and it's catching fast.
4709?
Yeah, 4709.
Okay, what city is that, ma'am?
Hyattsville, sorry.
And what's your name?
We take on the darkness, stare down deceit. Murder in the headlines, justice in the beat. From cold case whispers to killers in disguise, we rip off the mask, expose all the lies. Facts breaks like bullets, reload and deliver. Truth cuts deep like a blade in a river. Corruption shakes when the mic goes live. We dig where others won't survive. Keeps rolling through the smoke. Truth hits hard, no time for a joke. Deceit, murder, we name every name. No restraint, no shame, just flesh.
12 gauge investigator is the best.
When you're in Foley, come get your hair cut where 12 gets his at Nick's Barbershop. 12 gauge is the best. We love you.
12 gauge investigative is the best.